That's the whole reason why I'm trying to tell this world. Is because there is now truly a hell. And it's so horrible. And I don't want anyone to go if you don't believe in God. Oh, please ask Jesus into your heart and save you. If you do know God, oh, repent right now. Ask for forgiveness. You never know when you're gonna die.
You're welcome to this particular channel. God bless you for choosing this particular channel. Today is about one of our Christian sister, her testimony about heaven and hell, her encounter with Jesus, and what Jesus showed her in hell. In fact, the divisions of hell that we have here, I was touched after watching this particular video because it has helped me a lot and also increased my faith for me to stand well in my Christian life. And I believe to you too is going to help you a lot. So now, not taking much of your time here, always you have to put it in mind that it is appointed for you and I to die at once. And after that, there is going to be a judgment. That is Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. So always we have to remember our Creator. Always you have to put it in mind that everything that we are doing on this particular planet, one day, we are going to leave all of them to meet our Maker. So, which means that such testimony like this concerning heaven and hell, it is very important for always for us to watch or listen to, so that it's going to set up right and going to help us so that we are going to be on our toes, so that we are not going to find ourselves in the wrong place. So now, not taking much of your time here, let me share this particular video from one of our Christian sister, her testimony about hell and also her encounter with Jesus. So let's go and see.
Something happened to me though when I was 6 years old. I was at school and I had some boys take advantage of me and molest me and stuff while I was at recess on the playground. And that seemed to affect me so much more than I realized. I thought, as a kid, you can just get over it. But as an adult, it was kind of like, as I started getting older, I started getting not realizing, but I was terrified of men. Terrified of men. And I started having like attraction towards women. And because I'm just very, like, always been a very loving person, and I just always was searching for love. And so I started living my life, finding myself attracted to women. And as I went to college, I had a heartbreak, and I ended up moving to Missouri because I'm from Albuquerque. It was when I moved to Missouri is when I decided that I was never going to go to church again. I decided that I didn't want anything to do with religion anymore. And I said, Jesus, I'm not turning my back on you. I just hate Christians and I don't want anything to do with church. And I want to find my identity in the world. The homosexuality, being in the community whenever I was in it, and I'm speaking for myself, what I went through. It led me to alcohol because I loved going to the bars. At first it was fun and everything, but that's when the devil, traps me. I just was so ashamed of who I was, and the Christians made it so much worse on the homosexuality community because they would flash signs where you're waiting in line and FAGS, going to hell, and they were so brutal to us. It just grew. That the community I was in, we hated. I hated Christians. I didn't hate God, but I hated Christians because Christians were so judgmental. So it got to where alcohol was just not good enough. The more I started feeling, the more the guilt I was feeling. The alcohol wasn't strong enough, and as I was drinking too, bad things were happening. I have had numerous sexual assaults, being passed out drunk So then each time I was sexually assaulted, it was like, would lead me to drink more and more and more. And then alcohol wasn't enough. And so that's when I ended up I started drugs, started pills. I started like from Xanax, it led to cocaine, it led to meth, eventually it led to heroin. So there was one night, and it was back in March in 2017, and I was with who I thought was my friend. It was drug buddy. She was a very bad heroin addict, and I was just dabbling into it, and she gave me a shot in my arm. It was that night when I like realized just how heavy I was, just how deep I was, just how dark I was, what a dark place it was that I was in. And it wasn't until after she did it, that all of a sudden I was woken up with water splashing on my face. I guess apparently I was on the kitchen floor. I woke up with her throwing water on me, and after she was slapping me, and I woke up and I just remember her like, "You're blue, blue," and I was like, "Oh my gosh," and she's like, "You have to get out of here, get out of here." And so I said, "I need an ambulance." "No, you got to get out of here." So her and her friend tried to drag me down the street, and I said, "I won't go." And I was trying to fight, "Until you call an ambulance, I won't go." And then I made sure that someone was on the phone with the ambulance. And then as they dragged my body down the worst street in Springfield, Missouri, they dumped my body like I was a bag of trash. Then they stripped me of everything that they wanted off of my body. It was then that I cried out and I said, "Jesus, help me." And then all of a sudden, like, I closed my eyes, and it was like like all of a sudden I closed my eyes, all of a sudden my eyes got like really dark. It just like blacker than anything we've ever seen on earth. All of a sudden I felt like I was just falling, and I felt like a little bit of a chill, and I was falling. I felt so fearful. It was so black you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I am feeling it more. I'm feeling more scared than I've ever felt in my life. I just started falling and falling and falling into like darkness as it started to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And then all of a sudden, like, it was like I landed like a quicksand. All of a sudden I felt like my eyes like start adjusting, like when you're trying to wake up, except reality felt more real than I've ever felt in my life. So the first thing I did was I looked up, and when I looked up, I thought I was looking at a sky, but it was pure darkness. Pure black. It literally hurt your senses. It felt like fiery darts, like literally coming in my eyes, fiery darts hitting all my senses, all my pores, every fiber of my being. Like, it literally hurt so bad just looking in the darkness. And when I landed, I started looking, and I was like, realized I was like in like a pit, like a cave. And it was like, this cave was just fear. That fear instantly was like no fear I've ever felt before. It was like there was no presence of God there. My whole life, I used to struggle with anxiety and panic attacks. The worst panic attack that I've ever had on earth, I would times it by 1,000,000,000, and it's constant. It's constant. It's constant, constant. The fear is constant. The hopelessness, the feeling of, oh my gosh, that you're never, ever gonna get out. You are stuck. Like, you are never gonna get out. When I started focusing on where I was, and I felt like I was about 2 football fields away, and I still felt like an ant, to when I looked up and I saw black gates, which looked like they'd been like on fire. So they were like a charcoal, and they were so, the evil. It's so hard to talk about. Talking about this experience is really hard whenever, because I've struggled with PTSD from it, and this is why I'm really speaking about it now, and I'm really trying to keep it together. It's really hard to explain it because you don't realize just how torturous it's just torture. And not having the presence of God, we have the presence of, even if you don't have God in your life, even if you don't even believe in God, at least we have him on earth, when it's so different when you're there. It looked like it was just so big, and it was decrepit, and like each end, like it would go like that, and each end would have spikes. It was like I didn't have to move my head to look. My soul was so much more sensitive because now the human canvas is what's covering our soul. And the thing is when I was down there, my soul felt so much more sensitive, and it was from there that I looked through. It was like I didn't walk towards the gates. But I could see through the gates. It was like a lake. It was like a lake of fire, but it was like a big pit, a big, huge pit of like fire. However, it was like I couldn't see the flames. I just saw the shimmering light, because the shimmering light looked as if like the pit was so deep that you couldn't see the flames. It was just, I had no idea how deep it would be. Even if you don't even believe in God, your soul will know. Your soul will know that you're in hell. And I was in hell. It was then I started looking down, because I was stuck. I felt like I was in quicksand. So I started looking around, and I started noticing like it was like waves of like clay. It was like pink, like a salmon colored clay. I felt like I was in like the core of the earth or something, because I felt like there was just absolutely no way you could get out. And it's on top of the fear, on top of the hopelessness, on top of feeling alone, on top of feeling stuck, my mind all of a sudden started replaying my life. Replaying every sin that I have done. You relive it constantly, and it's so loud. You relive your feelings. And the one that stuck in my mind the most was my mama. That's why I call her my mom. She's my mama. And my mama she's a prayer warrior. And she's been praying for me all these years to get out of this lifestyle and to get away from drugs. And it was like when I was in hell, I could hear her, "Oh, Lisa, I wish you would listen and just come back to Jesus." And that's when all of a sudden I said, "I wish I would have listened." And all of a sudden my body set on fire, my soul set on fire. And when my soul set on fire, it was so much hotter, because I used to have problems like cutting and burning myself because I hated myself. I know burns and stuff, and there is nothing like your soul being on fire. It hurts so bad, like it's not, you can't even explain it. You can't even explain it. There is no way to explain the torture. Like I could hear myself screaming in my head. The thoughts were like if you put some headphones on or whatever in your ears and you were to like scream as loud as you can, it's like a billion times louder than that is what your thoughts. You're alone in your thoughts. You're alone in your sins. It's replaying over and over, on top of fear, on top of hopelessness, on top of fire, hotter than you can ever imagine. I wouldn't wish hell on my worst enemy. And that's what I'm trying. That's the whole reason why I'm trying to tell the world. Is because there is truly a hell. And it's so horrible. And I don't want anyone to go if you don't believe in God. Oh, please ask Jesus into your heart and save you. If you do know God, repent right now. Ask for forgiveness. You never know when you're gonna die. You never know when Jesus is gonna come. You never know. And it was then it got hotter and hotter and hotter, and I like my teeth were just gnashing. They were gnashing, and I could feel like my teeth just breaking over and over. And your jaw's locked, and you're screaming in your mind. There's no water. There's no water. You feel as if your mouth is dry or your soul's dry. Your soul's so dry. If only I just had a drop of water, if only I just had a drop of water on my tongue, I would feel some kind of relief. It was then that all of a sudden the screaming continued. There's just constant crying, constant misery. You think about the time you've cried, like the worst pain you've ever felt in your heart, like emotional pain. You're crying and heaving, a billion times worse. And when I say a billion times worse, I really mean it's a billion times worse than any negative thing. Every negative thing you've ever felt in your whole life, you will feel in hell. And you will feel it a billion times. And you will feel it forever and ever. And ever and ever and ever. As I was screaming, as I was gnashing my teeth, as I was wishing, the fear, the hope, hopelessness, everything, all of a sudden, I was just like, Jesus, 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 help me, Jesus. Jesus, save me. As I cried out to Jesus, immediately I was ripped from those flames, and all of a sudden I was in an ambulance, still felt on fire, and I was screaming in the ambulance. I looked and I saw a paramedic. Didn't really know where I was at or what was going on. I was very confused, but I saw the kindness in her eyes and realized all of a sudden, wait a minute, I'm not in hell anymore. She was like, you're not on fire. She was like, you're not on fire. And she was like, you're okay, honey. And I was like, please, 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 I don't want to go back there. Jesus, please, don't let me go back there. Jesus, please, forgive me of all my sins. Jesus, I don't want to go back there. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. The look on her face, if I could have, if I could really, it was her eyes were really big, and it was kind of like she was just staring at me like I don't know if she's ever seen anything like that before, but